Hello, everyone, and welcome to ESAVoices' second episode. Our topic for today will be focused on mental health and the stigma around it in Lebanon mostly. My name is Nour Ibrahim, and I'd like to introduce our speakers Yasmina Haroun, a master's student in international affairs, and Rawad Idris, a second year BBA student, both at ESA Business School currently. So, first of all, I'd like to know if you guys think that the Lebanese population is educated enough on the subject of mental health.
I believe that the Lebanese population is not really educated about the matter. It is getting more educated right now. There's a significant change, in my opinion, given that people are talking more about it and a lot of people seem to accept it more. It doesn't mean that there's not a problem and that people don't think it's a stigma or there's prejudgment about anyone that seeks mental help or anything. I believe it's still there significantly, but there is this percentage of change. It's a small percentage, but it's better than nothing in my opinion.
Well, I believe that our generation is more open to mental health, but our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation is not. This is mainly due to the fact of our Arab mentality or the family reputations mentality.
Then do
I,
you think people are more afraid of opening up because of this old mentality, or would it be because of other things?
I think it's a mix of both. I think either way, any generation that you find, even in our generation, you're going to find someone who's not going to like it. It doesn't, I don't think it depends specifically on where you're from. I know people from different parts of the world who think mental health, like seeking mental health, is not specifically something that should be done. But I think I agree with Rawad when he says that our old generation, our parents' generation, grandparents' generation, hold a little bit more of an effect on how we see it. And also our generation is trying to seek help, but as we've seen in different things in Lebanon, it is not just about mental health. This generation is very much affected by the older generation in different things, and I don't think mental health is going to be anything different.
Okay, so do you guys think that it's possible that we improve the sector? And if so, how do you think that we can kind of become more open-minded, more accepting towards the subject of mental health and the practices to take care of mental health, such as therapy and all of these following?
Um, uh, I believe that, as simple as it sounds, raising awareness is really important to talk about it more and more. So, for let's say, for example, for my parents, they didn't really like the idea of seeking mental help, but as I've talked about it more and more at home, they actually accept it now. So I'm saying if one person like me can raise awareness amongst my parents who are very old-fashioned minded, and if we raise awareness at a community level, a society level, it could actually work.
Okay, then that's perfect. What do you think? What do you have to say about the people who think that speaking up is actually weak, or that going to therapy means that you can't take care of things alone, or that you just can't handle it on your own, so you're seeking help? Do you guys think that they're right? Do you guys think that it means that we're weak?
From a personal matter, I can say that I have a really hard time speaking up. And if someone has the ability to speak up, I find that very brave. And it's truly courageous to be able to speak up about something that is really bothering you, whether it is a minor problem or a major problem. So speaking up is very brave, and unfortunately, not many people see it that way.
Why do you think that it's viewed as weak? Why do you think that people are more prone to thinking that if they seek help, if they go to therapy, it means that they're weak?
I think it goes hand in hand with someone's mentality. If we're looking at the case of Lebanon, for example, our old generation think that when you seek help is weak, given that sometimes they think that when you want to seek help, that means you're telling me I'm crazy. Because when you say the word crazy to someone, it's always, it entails something negative, which is, you could say it entails something negative because people put something behind it that is negative. It doesn't necessarily have to be negative. And I think that is how our parents and our grandparents think. And for people, when they say that it's weak, first of all, it's very important, in my opinion, to respect their decision. If that's how they think, it's not up to me to judge them, because if I judge them of the way they're thinking, I'm doing exactly the same as they're doing to me, which is very counterintuitive, in my opinion. So I think we think are weak because of the mentality of where we live, in my opinion.
Some people, especially for us as men, believe انه خلاص كون رجال, this will solve the problem, and speaking up is not a problem solver, for example. So it is not weak, but it is courageous, especially for men.
100%. I think that men are very disregarded within this subject. And I think they're more told to be rijal, just like Rawad said, which means to man up in certain way, saying that they don't get to face things like that because they're more manly or they're manlier. So I 100% agree with you guys. But then do you think that the term mentally ill is kind of negative? Do you think that it should be avoided, or do you think that people made it a negative, or they added the negative connotation to it?
I agree with the last part. I think people added a negative connotation to it. More specifically, the reason it's very negative at the moment is because when someone goes up to you and you're like, you're mentally ill, no one's going to use it in order to make you feel better about yourself. People are going to use it against you, and it's not fair. People could go up and say, I'm proud to have that. I know I have a mental illness and I'm going out to seek help, and it's not bad. But usually when someone uses the word mentally ill, they use it in order to beat you down, to make you feel lesser than you are. So I think that's why it's not fair to say it to anyone, especially with people who actually are going to seek help, or even know that there's something wrong, that they feel something wrong, and they are not seeking help. It's just not fair to use.
I kind of disagree with Yasmina, because illness means, from Google, it is a disease or a period of sickness affecting the body or mind, which is a particular abnormal condition that negatively affects the structure or function of all or part of an organism. It is also called a disease, and it has specific symptoms, so it can be treated. So being ill, you can be mentally ill, or you can be physically ill. So being ill is not a negative term. It is a special condition that can be treated.
100%, I agree, but I think that what Yasmina mostly meant was that it had a negative connotation because of society. So the term itself might not be negative, it might be just a scientific term, it might be a medical term, very usual. But because of society, it has a negative connotation to it.
Just if I
On
might
that
add,
part, I agree, yes.
I agree with what you're saying, Rawat. Personally, I agree, especially if you're looking at it in that way, 100%. But I'm saying when people use it against you, not as if it's bad for you to have it. I'm the first one to say I seek therapy, I go to therapy. It's not that I think it's bad at all. I just say when people use it negatively against you is when it's not necessarily, it shouldn't be used. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I agree.
100%, 100%. So, don't you guys think that the more we talk about mental illnesses, the more people are going to feel like they suffer from it? I'm going to give you an example. For example, the subject of ADHD or the subject of depression. A lot of people have been using it without being diagnosed. Do you think that that is correct? Do you think that it is fair for people to call themselves or to state that they are depressed without being clinically diagnosed with it? What do you think about that?
Well, looking at the first part of your question is talking more about mental health, meaning people are going to think that they have something. I think we shouldn't talk less about mental health because specifically in Lebanon, it's not talked about enough. And I think it's important to, because given the situation that we live in, a lot of people are going through more things. Even if you're not clinically depressed, if you're not diagnosed as depressed, if you're not diagnosed as something really like you might have anxiety, you might have less than anxiety, you might have depression. I think it's important to seek help either way, no matter how much of what you feel, it doesn't really matter. And for the second part of your question, I think it comes with the romanticizing the idea of mental illness, in my opinion, for people to use, because sometimes it's used as to show how bad you feel in a certain day, because a lot of articles talk about maybe in a certain day, for example, you feel really, really bad, and on another day you feel really good. Doesn't mean that you're depressed, but it means on that certain day you felt really bad to the point where the only way that you could, for example, talk about it was say that word. But
Right.
also, yeah, but also it goes along with the fact that also romanticizing depression, romanticizing any mental illness, it seems as if it's cool to have something like that, and without actually having to go through it and know what it means to go through that. And I don't think that's good necessarily, but you can't change society in the sense that you can't remove the word from the dictionary at the end of the day, and people are still going to use it.
100%.
Doesn't make any sense, honestly.
Okay, then I have a specific question for both of you. How has your mental health been affected because of the situation, because of COVID-19, because of the fact that we simply live in Lebanon, which is something that we hear a lot, by the way? So, if you guys could maybe talk to us a bit about your experience, how your mental health has been affected, and maybe later on how you're dealing with it, that would be great.
Okay, it has been a really difficult year, especially after the explosion. But I earlier said that I don't speak up. And I managed with the situation to speak up with my parents, to talk to my family, to talk to my friends what I am feeling about, and ask how they are doing, because it is really important right now to ask about how people are feeling and to listen, because everyone has problems nowadays. Everyone is stressed because of university or school. Everyone is stressed because of work. We are trying new and different things that we are not used to.
Mhm.
So my experience has been um, a little bit poor with the situation, but I'm trying to cope with it because I am forced and I do not have an option.
Rawad, if you could give a word of advice or a sentence or absolutely anything, any kind of advice to the people watching us, what would you like to say to the people who have been affected by the situation, which their mental health has been affected by the situation?
Only speak up, talk about what you are feeling to, especially your family, because they are the ones you spend the time the most, even though you don't realize it. And maybe they will understand you more than your friends and be able to talk to you and make you, not make you, help you with your problems.
And if not your family, people around you, maybe professionals, anything of that sort, any one of that.
Yes,
Thank
of course.
Personally, in my opinion, and I'm just talking about my personal experience, is I'm a homebody originally. I don't say that I have too much anxiety. I do have a little bit of anxiety. I have, especially in social situations, I overthink everything. Everything I do, I think I'm going to annoy someone or someone's going to be not going to like it. So the fact that we've had to stay at home for the most part has helped me deal with that anxiety in a sense that I didn't have to actually go through it. So I personally was going through a fine time. I didn't really mind it. I miss seeing people, I miss seeing my friends, but the fact that I didn't have to do much effort in public helped me personally. I know a lot of people have struggled in different ways. I'm not going to say that the situation in Lebanon has been the best and has made me feel the best. And I'm always thinking about the next step, about money, about how we're going to live, how we're going to buy this, how we're going to do this. And it's just it's overwhelming most of the time. But given that I had to deal with something less on one side, given my social anxiety, and then have to deal with the other thing, was helpful because I didn't have to tackle both at the same time, in my opinion. But
100%.
also in that time, it was overwhelming to the point where I went and sought help. I went to a therapist and it went well. But I felt like going to therapy, having that 1 hour a week for me, just to talk about myself, because I hate talking about myself, helped me look at the world in a different way, in my personal opinion. So seeking help, either if it's professional, non-professional, with your family, with your friends, is very important. So I reiterate what Rawat said. Talk to someone, it will make things better.
100%. And I can personally talk about this too, where I'm the kind of person that does not like to talk. And I think we're many actually, just like I don't like to talk, just like Rawad doesn't like to talk. We're many, we're not limited at all. But I believe that both are right. And I'm actually very proud of every single person that seeks help. And I think it's a great option to try, nothing to lose whatsoever.
I agree.
That it is a great option to seek help.
Okay, so before I just want to add something, and I want to say that a lot of people cannot seek help because of financial situations. Maybe they need it more professionally than not. There are many, many NGOs in Lebanon that help you, given wherever background you're coming from. There's one that seeks everyone. For example, I think everybody knows about this at this point. Embrace. You can call, you can talk to them. It's free. There are other NGOs that talk to you depending on where you come from, what you do. There are NGOs specifically, for example, people from the LGBTQI community that will help you a lot of things are available. So for people who think that maybe they can't go and get help because they can't afford it, or because they don't want people to know, there are many anonymous, free, good NGOs in this country that can help you.
100%, and we will be listing them down below, and we will be giving information, hopefully, regarding this subject in order to spread more awareness and in order to help all of the people watching us right now. So thank you very much for participating here. We appreciate it a lot. Your experiences were very nice to hear, and I hope it raises awareness. I hope people learn from you. And thank you very much for participating, everyone. In the next episode of this segment, we have invited a very special guest. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, subscribe, like, and don't forget to turn our post notifications on.